3. We'll try to look at a couple of scriptures here. Psalm 103, verse 1. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless His holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all His benefits. Who forgiveth thine iniquities, who healeth thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies. If you'd hold your finger there, please, and turn over to Luke chapter 15. Commencing at verse 11. And that he, of course, means Jesus, said, a certain man had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country. And there wasted his substance with riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his field to feed swine. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. And when he came to himself, he said, How many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him, and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet. And bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it. And let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost, and is found. And they began to be merry. These 2 verses we've read are connected by verse 4 in Psalm 103. Who redeemeth thy life, this life, from destruction. I'd like to speak to you for a few moments on salvation for life. Sin has numerous destructive aspects or elements. We so frequently and often endeavor to remind you, unveil to you, reveal to you the ultimate result of a sinful life. That most surely if you rebel against God, when this is all over, you're going to be lost. You're going to go to eternity and have to spend it suffering. However, there's some short-term effects of sin that people seem to want to overlook and ignore. And that's what I'd like to discuss with you for a few minutes, if you allow me to. Our story, found in Luke, is about a young man who decided he was going to have some fun and do his thing. A young Jewish boy who at the time would have fallen under the protective eyesight of his parents his father in particular. A young Jewish lad who, if he were raised right, would have somewhere along the line heard of Psalm 103, verse 4, that Jehovah redeems your life from destruction. A young Jewish lad who had it made under father's roof, wanting nothing, and set up. And had he gone on for a few more years, he'd have really been in fine shape. A young lad that couldn't wait to get out into the world, who had an itch to have some fun, to get over, to enjoy life, to involve himself in things that others had involved themselves in, to get loose from the shackles and the deprivations of that stringent life that was being imposed upon him. He got away, church. He got away, friend. But it certainly wasn't to his benefit to have gotten away. It is so unfortunate that young people, old people, middle-aged people are forgetting that sin has effects in this life. We've probably said it to you before, but we want to reiterate it to you today, that sin does affect your life. It affects your eternity, but it affects your life. You're running around here thinking that you're going to be smart enough to avoid it. I'm telling you, you're not smart enough. Pardon me. There have been some a lot smarter than you are, and they haven't avoided it. There have been some that had a lot more money than you have. They haven't avoided it. There have been some that have had long years of training like you've had, and they haven't avoided it. And neither will you. He thought he knew what he was doing, I'm sure, or he never would have embarked upon such a foolish journey. One day he just hopped up and said, Lord, Father, give me my stuff. I'm getting out of here. I had enough. I'm sick of this. There's too many restrictions here and I'm gone. Here, I'm cutting out. I'm cutting out. Beware, church, old and young. Satan hasn't stopped work on people yet like this. You don't have to be young to be prodigal. The word prodigal means wasteful. You don't have to be young to be foolish. You don't have to be young to be taken advantage of by the devil. All you need to do is think that somehow your life is going to be all right, even if you go against God. You know, I'm amazed by people. I guess that when people go out and sin and when they backslide, they must think that things are going to stay like they've always been. That's the only thing I can figure, brother. Because they have enough sense to know that when they got saved, things weren't good, or they wouldn't have gotten saved in the first place. They had enough sense to know that there's some heartache and difficulty out there, and yet, for some reason, the enemy has been very proficient and able to convince them that things are going to get better, or at least stay the same, when they rebel and go back out there. How can you be brought to that thought unless you're being deceived in the greatest of ways? I know what I was like before I got saved. I know that. I know what I liked to do. Even though those things were against me, I know how much I relished getting involved. I know the pleasure and the feelings they brought. I remember that. And I also know that I was foolish for doing it. I also know that the pleasure notwithstanding, when I got done, I felt miserable about it. I knew that day after day and year after year of what I was involving myself in would surely destroy my life. And when I got saved, I decided that I was going to be saved for the rest of my days. Why? Because I recognized that to go back out there is a surefire way to destroy my life right here. Not including eternity now. That makes it all the worse. But I'm talking about your life right here. So many have analyzed the prodigal son, and when we read about the ending of his events, we find ourselves rejoicing and saying, hallelujah. It's so wonderful. And we are indeed happy that the prodigal did come back and got straightened out. That's a beautiful way for the story to end. God dealt with his heart. I mean, if you use the analogy here, God dealt with his heart. God convinced him. God showed him, you need to change. You need to repent. You need to straighten out. And he came. He repented. He got straightened out. He came to himself, it says. Just in the nick of time. Just before he was totally and absolutely destroyed. He got an inkling of what salvation was all about. And he made his way to an altar and got back home. But, dear ones, in analyzing this story, you have to go deeper than that. Because even though he did get back, I'm going to tell you something. Things were never the same for him. Here? Things were never the same for this young man. He did, in fact, mess up his life. Oh, he received a number of things coming back. He got the fatted calf, and he got a robe and a ring. But there was something he wasted. He never got back again. Here? There were some things that he got involved in, he couldn't just erase them from his memory. There were some things he did, he had to live with the regret of it for the rest of his days. How do you know? Because I know how sin works. I know the effect that sin has on our life. And I know sin can get you to the place where you'll be so unhappy, you'd rather be dead than to be alive. Yet there'll be no way out. The prodigal son wasted his substance, his life, on riotous living. And the time he wasted, he can never get back. Oh, you say, well, the Bible says redeem the time. It does indeed. But there was, if you had messed it up, you wouldn't have to be trying to redeem some anyway. You'll never get the days and the hours back that you've wasted. You'll never be able to recuperate that time because you should have been saving that time and you could have been that much farther ahead. That's just lost here. And every dime, nickel, and penny that people spend on cigarettes and alcohol and their tapes and their albums and their programs, all of that's gone. You don't get it back. Here? Oh, you may get some money, but you don't get that money back. And if you out there and you squander your health, you may not get that back. The scars and the heartaches you have to endure, you don't get that back. Here? You don't get total relief from that. God can surely help us. I'm not diminishing that. But He's told us that there is a price to pay for being a sinner. No wonder the psalmist said, who redeemeth thy life from destruction. Because your adversary and mine has but one goal in mind, to destroy your life. Here? That's it. Nothing else matters to him. It's just to destroy your life. And by whatever means he can use to accomplish that, he's satisfied. People go out and they revert back to their old wicked ways. They'll never be the same, children. I've seen so many who had glowing testimonies and did fantastic things when it came to the things of God. Could set the camp on fire by reading a poem. Could have the saints rejoicing by singing just a few bars of a song. Could have folks encouraged by a few words of testimony. And they messed around out there and for some reason allowed the enemy to think, allowed the enemy to make them think that their life wouldn't change too much if they went back. So they go back and their life changes a whole lot. And they find themselves unable to understand it. Well, let me tell you something. Let me make it easy for you. There is a devil. He's out to destroy your life. And when you get on his territory, that's just what he'll do. So it doesn't take a PhD to figure this out. If you mess with the devil, he's going to destroy your life. Here. I'm not talking about the afterlife. You won't have a chance for that. But your life here will be destroyed. Satan did not like Job. I can find no place where Satan never said anything good about him. He said, well, I really want to help him. If you'll lift the hedge about him, or if you let me get in here, I really want to be of great benefit to him. I want to encourage him and strengthen him. I find no place in the Scriptures where he even indicated that, hinted at, intimated, whatever your word you like to use. I find no place. Now, You say, well, Job was a saved man. I can understand why the devil didn't like Job. But what makes you think the devil likes unsaved people any more than he likes saved people? What makes you think that because you're not saved, the devil likes you? Well, I'm serving him. All the more reason for him to detest you. You're a fool. That's how he feels about you. Serving me. And I'm going to use you just like you are. So I'm going to tell you something. If you didn't know it, the devil doesn't like anybody. Here, he doesn't like the saints, but he doesn't like the sinners either. He does not like you. He does not have a bit of feeling for you, but contempt. His principal objective is to use you and make a fool out of you. People think, well, you know, I'm on the devil's territory. He ain't going to do me bad. I don't have to worry about him troubling me at night like he does the saints. What do you mean you don't have to worry about him troubling you? Where do you think you're getting your troubles from? Do you mean to tell me that you believe that because you're not saved, the devil's going to leave you alone? You mean to think that the devil only bothers the saints and all the rest of the world he's not troubling? Man, have you got a misconception about what's going on here. One of the principal reasons why we get saved is so we can get from under the bondage of the devil. Because he is a taskmaster that's driving this world down. He is destroying these folks' lives every single day. Brother Tony was telling us about a young man that got in trouble here recently. I guess they killed this young woman and burnt her body in a barn. 16 years old, right? They bound this young man over and tried him as an adult. He's over there at Madison now. 16 years old, he won't, what, 25 to 30 or 5 to 30 or something? 35 to life. Don't tell me that life wasn't destroyed. 35 years to life. 16 years old. Tony said when they took him into the hall, the young man was just trembling. He's just shaking. He's in jail now. Too late, man. This ain't, you don't come in here and play games now. You want to be bad? Now you can be bad. There's plenty of bad guys here. Be bad now. You want to show how hard you are? Here's your chance. There's plenty of hard guys around. Let's see how hard you really are. Said the poor boy got in there and went to eat his meal and could not keep it down. You know what I'm saying? At the table. Couldn't keep it down. Life destroyed. He wasn't saved. Why did the devil leave him alone? Because the devil doesn't like anybody. Not a single one of us in here. Nobody. No one. No one. That's why we don't have time to be serving him. And getting close to his territory. Because his objective is to destroy your life. Do you actually feel like the devil wants to make you happy? In any way, shape, or form? Let's think about this for a minute. Let's think about this. Is there anything he has ever done to try to make your life better? If he did something that appeared to make it better, it's only to trap you, ensnare you, so he can destroy you. That's all it is. As long as you're on his territory, he's going to take advantage of you. Here? Now you look at what sinners are doing to each other. You think the devil cares about them? Look what they're doing to each other. They're killing each other. They're stabbing each other. They're shooting each other. They're giving each other drugs. They're stealing from each other. They're lying to each other. They're gambling with each other. They're taking each other's wives and husbands. Come on. I think about young people. Some of them want to make big bucks, so they pay to get their pictures taken and be plastered in ungodly magazines. Well, what happens if 15 years from now you have children and somebody saved the magazine? I knew your mother! Look, your mother's here, look! People don't think about that, though. They think sin is fun. Oh, I can take my pictures and the men will buy the magazines and I'll get lots of money. 20 years from now when your children go to school and say, is this your mother here? Hey, man, look, his mother's in this magazine. Look.
forget. We think sin is funny. We think it's pretty. But it's destroying people. It's destructive. I'm telling you, it's destructive. There's no good thing I can say about sin. There's no good aspect about sin. There's no redeeming value in being in sin. Only destruction. 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 That's why God said, I'll redeem you from destruction. Because as long as you stay out there, you're like the prodigal. And many are like him, only they stay in the hog pen, and instead of coming home, they find a way to satisfy themselves with the husks. Look, there's something you and I can do. We'll never be the same. I don't care what you say. You can be saved, sweetly saved, wholly sanctified. You can have all the power on earth, so to speak. But brother, you will never be the same. That thing will haunt you, trouble you, and bother you till the day you die. Let me tell you something else too. When you stay out there and you dilly-dally with sin, there's some things you get involved with that the devil will come back after you get saved 20 years later and still bring the same problems around. Amen! You say you got victory over, you say you're happy and rejoicing, but brother, the devil will be right back to see if you really are still happy and rejoicing, see if you still got the same victory. That's why it's so important to recognize that destruction waits and run from him as fast as you can. Because the sooner, the better. The sooner, the better. The faster you do it, the better off you are. Because the longer you stay out there, the more hooks, the more works that he has to come against you with. And I'm telling you something. There's some things I wish I had never done. There's some things I can tell you I wish I had never done. Because if I hadn't have done them, I wouldn't have to worry about them coming around every once in a while now. There's some songs that have been better off having never heard. There's some places I'd have been better off having never been. There's some people I'd have been better off having never known or being around. Come on. Why? Because destruction's following that. And had I stayed out there, I probably would have been completely destroyed. Thank God for salvation. Nevertheless, my friend, there's still some things that will haunt you, follow you, trouble you, bother you. Amen. Cause upheavals in your life because you got involved with them. You might be saved, but there's still something coming against you. It's so hard for people to get loose from sin and stay loose. Why is that? It's because once they get free, there's still some things that the devil can bring back to their mind. Feelings, ideas, thoughts that they relished and enjoyed at one time. If they don't take a real hard, fast stand against it, pretty soon that stuff will be back in their hearts and they'll be doing it. If you don't have a cigarette habit, how's the devil going to bother you about it? If you don't have a drug habit, how's the devil going to bother you about it? Amen. But you get out there and start getting these things, and you get saved. Brother, these things will start troubling you and bothering you. Remember one time a young lady came in here, she had a crack habit. This was way early when crack was first coming out. Hadn't been around for a while. She came in here and we prayed for her. She claimed salvation. But then there's a call of the wild. Here, there's something calling from that wilderness out there. You got to have me. You need another hit. You need another smoke. You need another rock. At that time, I didn't know a whole lot about it. I know now. But brother, the call got her. If she had never touched it, she wouldn't have had the call. If she had left it alone, if she had gotten saved when she was young, which she should have because she knew. She was one of the saints' children. She knew. If she hadn't gotten saved, she could have been so much better off. Call of the wild, dear ones. They call. Call to destruction. Follow me. Follow me. Don't you miss me. There you are. Falling head over heel into foolishness. Oh, let me tell you something. Beware. Satan doesn't like Job, and he doesn't like you. And why should you believe that you could indulge out there and come out ahead? Let me tell you something. And if anybody can contradict me, see me after church on this one. All right? But I personally know of no examples in the Bible where folks got involved in sin and their life turned out all right. I don't know of anybody in the Bible like that, do you? I can sure name a lot of folks that got in sin in the Bible, and their lives turned out pretty miserable. But I can't think of a single solitary example of anybody whose life was messed up by sin and they stayed in it, just let it run its course, and they came out okay. I can think of no one that sin benefited in the Bible. Not a single person. Why, there's cases in there of young men and women, and there's cases there of old folks, there's cases there of kings and queens. There's lots of people in there. But there's not one example, not one, out of the hundreds of people that are in the Bible of anybody that sin did a favor for. But you say, that's in the Bible. All right? I don't know of anybody in history, and I've read a little bit, and I can think of no historical figure that sin benefited and helped. Now, if you can think of one, you let me know, but I don't know of any. Alexander the Great, as mighty a man as he was, at 33 years old, had conquered the then known world, died an alcoholic. Couldn't control his passions and desires. And the list goes on. The Caesars, the great men, many who were way up on the pinnacle of success. But sin had a way of bringing them right down and leveling them. So I can think of no figure, no great man, no great woman that sin was a blessing to. In fact, of all the people I know, and I know quite a few, maybe not as many as you know, but I know a fair sum, I can't think of a single person that I know that sin has ever been a blessing to. Not nary a one. And if I know you and you're a sinner, then that includes you too. I don't know anybody, not a single solitary soul, that has gone on and let sin run its course, and that sin has been a blessing to them. And in fact, of the people I know that are saved, almost without exception, they all wish they had gotten saved sooner, and they wish that there were some things that they had never done. The majority of them wish that they'd have been smarter a lot earlier and had avoided some of the things they have to deal with now. Including yours truly. When we urge people to get saved across this desk, it's not just because we don't want you to be lost. That's the principal reason. But there's more to it than that. We know that people's lives can really be tangled up and not be happy pretty quickly in the pursuit of wantonness and supposed happiness. I don't know of any sin that builds character. You? I know of no sin that increases strength. Do you? I know of no sin that enhances wisdom. Do you? I know of no sin that yields true prosperity. Do you? Man, what sense does it make to be doing something that's not going to be a bit of benefit to you? If sin is not building character, then what is it doing? Destroying character. If sin is not increasing strength, what is it doing? Decreasing, diminishing strength. If sin is not enhancing wisdom, what is it doing? Blinding minds and eyes. If sin is not yielding true prosperity, what is it doing? Taking prosperity away. This is what sin is doing. Destroying. The Bible says that a nation that forgets God is a nation that goes down. A nation that sinks. A nation that's fit for destruction in the end. Luke 22 and 31. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. Now, you know, back in those days when they sifted wheat, what they did was they would flail it, and then they would shake it. The kernels would fall through, and the only thing that was left was chaff, which you don't care about chaff. You won't get rid of that. You can't use it. What he's saying here is that as you are, Satan wants to take or remove every iota of good and leave you with nothing but chaff. The one I think we need to ponder this very carefully here. When he says he wants to leave you with chaff, that's what he's saying. What that is suggesting, when the devil gets done with you, he wants to so fix you that there is nothing good left. And nothing that can possibly even be redeemed when he's done. He's saying, I want to fix you in such a way that no matter how hard you try, there's nothing there that the Lord can even use when I'm done. That's what he's saying. He says, Simon, Simon, Satan hath desired to have you, to sift you as wheat. In other words, all the kernel's gone. All the good stuff's gone. The only thing left is that which is only worthy to be burned. You don't put it back together when you're done. You don't take the wheat and go back and say, well, look at the chaff and put it back together and see if we can put this, reglue this. This is messing around and be like Humpty Dumpty. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. He's saying, this is what I'm after. I'm not after just to make you so you'd be lost, but I'm going to fix it so in this life, every time God talks to you, there's nothing there to respond. I want to fix it so you don't have a mind to be saved. Your mind is way off somewhere in worldliness. And you know, I mean, if somebody come and preach to you all night long, it doesn't mean a thing to you. You just have that till I do it later and just go on with your business. No wonder Peter took note. Because he understood what Jesus was saying. They knew about what would happen when you sift wheat. There's nothing. What do you do with the chaff? Kick it. Burn it. Get rid of it. And this is what all I want to leave you with. That's all I want to leave you with. Oh yeah, you can still do your arithmetic. You can be 25 years old. You can live till you're 60 or 70. But every day you get further and further in destruction because I've taken care of you now. You mine. I own you. Nothing left for me to work with. That's what he's after. You think that you're pretty smart, though. Most of us did. I thought I was pretty smart. Oh, I'll fool him. I'll trick him. When the time comes, I'm going to get saved. God's merciful. Yes, he is. But the devil's not. God is merciful, but the devil's not. What makes you think that he doesn't want you to have 5 or 6 children out of wedlock? What makes you think he doesn't want you to have a gun in your hand some night? Sticking up somebody. What makes you think he doesn't want you to have a pipe on the end of your lips to try to take just one hit? Just one hit. You don't have to try it one time. Just try it one time. Here, this one's free. Next thing you know, you're hooked. You're down on the ground. You see a little white speck. You're down on the ground trying to get it. Chicken scratching, they call it. I gotta find that speck. Might be some rock, so I can smoke it. No redeeming value. Your life destroyed. I've had several of my friends go to prison. Their lives are messed up. I mean, what do you do when you want to go in and apply for a job? Have you ever committed a felony? Oh, you say, well, I've been out for 5 years and I got my record expunged. Yeah, but how do you answer that question? How does your answer come across there? Well, my record's expunged. No. Okay, your record's expunged as far as the law is concerned. I said, how do you answer the question? The question is, have you ever been convicted for a felony? Now, how do you answer that? Well, in the eyes of the law, my record's expunged, so my record says that well, what does your conscience tell you? You're a mess. Oh, people, see, we think that sin is like a little pet. And we can play with it, mess with it, toy with it, and then set it aside when we get tired of it. and we go on our way. Oh no. You know the ones being played with and petted and toyed with? You. And the point is, when sin gets done with you, is when you get out. It's not the other way around. You just don't decide to quit. God got to help us to do that. See, you can be out there and not realizing how much it's destroying you because there's a certain amount of pleasure and fun you're getting out of it. And you can stay out there for years. Plunging you deeper, fooling you, deceiving you. You'll be enjoying kicking up your heels, but give it a little while. And you'll be wanting to pull away. Let me go, let me go. No. Like Lot's wife. She got a little head start away from Sodom. But there was still some Sodom in her. And she was out of the city. She had made an escape. She had one simple commandment: don't turn around and look. That's all. How hard is that? How hard is that? How hard is it? Well, for some people it might be pretty hard now. You say, look, drive away from the mall and don't look back. Drive away from that sale and don't look back. So get out the city and don't look back. That's all. That's it. But there was something in her that would not allow her to pursue that to the end. She had to look back. It was just impossible for her not to look back. There was something in her. And then this is what I'm talking about. When you stay out there, some things get destroyed in us and prevent us from carrying out the full will of God. And unless God intervenes quickly in our life, we may find ourselves totally destroyed. Oh, we think we're doing fine. We come around the saints, we want to smile and look, come in prancing, and we get all decked out. We look all cute when we come in. And saints say, well, we're happy to see you. But we know your life's destroyed. Who you fooling? You put on a front, you try to make us feel like everything's okay. But all of us that are saved used to be sinners. We know what it's like. How you going to fool an old fooler? He knows the game. No need you trying to outfox a man that's a card shop. They put on a poker face. You put on a poker face. I've been doing this for a long time. No. It doesn't work that way. We know. And since we know, as one songwriter said, ye infidels who so boldly appear, deep in your bosom you're cankered with fear. Come now to reason and honest intent, and God will pardon if you will repent. The songwriter knew what happened. Inside you know you're being destroyed by this stuff. This is tearing you up. Sin leaves you with lonely hours and heartache. Sin leaves you with bad feelings, condemnation, and grief, woe, and misery. You tell me that sin doesn't hurt a man, and I tell you, you're dead wrong. What's Satan's interest in Peter here? Did he want his money? Nah. He can get that later. Did he want his clothing? Nah, that's not important. Get that later too. What did he want? He wanted Peter's character. He wanted his nobility. He wanted his confidence. He wanted everything that had to do with godliness. He wanted all that Jesus imparted to him. He wanted to extract that from him and just leave him nothing but a hollow shell. So when you start talking about Peter, people, I'll be back. I'll take you, brother, back. Thank God that Peter got his, as one brother said, Peter got his altar call by a rooster. Some of us need some kind of altar call to help us. What's it going to take? Does it have to be a rooster? Does it have to be a donkey? What's it going to take to get you to see that your life is being destroyed by the devil? What will it take for you to recognize that what you're doing is going down a path that many have already traveled? And the end of it is ultimate destruction. But while you're on the path, you're being destroyed. Here? You don't believe that. Some people don't believe me. But David, some people just don't believe it. They don't believe that. They don't. Sin generates loneliness. Sin generates despair and desperation. Broken hearts and broken homes and sometimes broken bones. That's what sin will do for you. The salvation reduces the effects of every last one of these. I'm so glad that even though you can be out in sin, amen, when you stop sowing, at least the reaping mitigates to some extent. at least you don't take on anything new and more to have to fool with. At least you can say, thank God. If you've been saved for 30 years, you say, well, I haven't done that in 30 years. Hallelujah. Amen. At least you got an answer for it. But if you keep on doing it, well, you did that last night, you'll never stop doing it. You're bound. You can't quit. You're stuck. You'll never be any different. You can't be changed. And once we can if we want to be. If we get to God in time. If we make it there. But you're not going to go to heaven, and neither am I. We got sin in our heart. One last scripture, and I'm going to quit. Turn the service to Elder Kennerly. In Ecclesiastes 12:1, the Bible says, remember thou now thy Creator in the days of thy youth. I know so often we want to consider youth being real young. Or how young is youth? Youth is relative, church. In fact, let me suggest this to you, that you'll never be any younger than you are now. You'll never be a day younger than you are at this moment. Here? And we don't know how long you'll live. You may live to be 80 years old, the Lord tarry, and He provides you with strength. You may live to be 90, maybe 100. And you'll look back on being 50 and say, boy, I was pretty young then. I was just a youth. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not. What's he saying here? He said evil days, D-A-Y-S. That's saying in this life, this present life. Because if it was just an evil day, maybe you'd say, well, that's talking about the day I died in sin. But he said days. In other words, he's suggesting to us that there can be a situation where you're living and your life is not very happy. In fact, you look on him and say, this is evil. This is miserable. You say, well, how can you be miserable and not know it? Well, Jesus spoke to some people over in Revelation. They said, we are rich and increased with goods. He said, you don't even know that you're miserable, poor, blind, and naked. You're deceived. Because Satan has a way of blinding people's eyes. Making them think they're doing real well when they're doing terrible. And most of the folks out in the world out there, do you like the emperor and his clothes? You remember that little story? When they looked on and they had a new, what was he, a new tailor, and didn't put any clothes, no apparel on the emperor. The emperor's running around without anything on. And everybody, and he's talking about, look at my new clothes. And people are too afraid to tell the emperor, you don't have anything on. And he's running around till finally somebody said, emperor, what clothes are you talking about? That's like the church. We stand up and say, what are you talking about? You're doing good. Because you have 2 cars in a home and you're making $80,000 a year does not mean you're happy. Because we know the condemnation and the guilt that goes with sin. And if you've got any honesty in your heart, God's been dealing with you and making you unhappy about it. Who can you fool? Foolish thing. We know better. You might fool the world out there. They may say you got pretty clothes on, but we're telling you you're poor, you're blind, you're miserable, and you're naked. Your life's being destroyed. Every moment you live out there in sin, little by little, the devil's extracting every good thing from you. It becomes easier for you to tell lies. It becomes easier for you to steal. It becomes easier for you to say bad words. It becomes easier for you to tell somebody off. The level of your pride is rising and your anger is quick. Your temper, you fly off the handle in a drop of a hat. And people, I've seen them, they say, oh, I can't take it. When I was younger, I could do better. But now, around, I just go off. You know why that is? Because you're being destroyed. But there is a better way. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not. For nor the years draw nigh. Years, he said, years. Years. He didn't say a few moments. But brother, your life can be a mess for years. People, yeah, well, I take my chances. I'm only so-and-so years old now. I'll take my chances. 10, 12 years from now, if the Lord tarry, oh man, why didn't I do it then? I know some that are so there's some people out there that are so embarrassed that they won't come back. Yeah? Embarrassment's going to keep you from coming back. Pride. That's what it boils down to. They let the devil trick them. They're being destroyed. They know that. They see that. But there's something about having to acknowledge that that's just a little bit much for their mind and thinking. So they keep putting it off, and while they put it off, they go deeper and farther. Don't let the devil fool you into thinking, well, I'll get it fixed when I get this fixed. I'll get saved after I get this straight. You don't think you'll never get it straightened out? You'll never get all that stuff straightened out, because every time you try to plug the hole over here, they're going to spring a leak up back here. And when you go over to plug that, there's leaking here. You'll be so stretched out trying to stop leaks. You spend all your days in your life trying to stop leaks in your little boat. The next thing you know, a big wave will come up and just pour water in it and take you down. Remember now that created the days of that you, while the evil days come not, and the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure. Can you imagine living like that? You said nobody lives like that. I beg to differ with you. A lot of people live like that. There's a lot of rich people live like that. Yeah, rich, plenty of money, lots of money. You just hate life. Some days you get up and just wish they were dead. Some of them carry out their wishes. While the sun or the lights or the moon or the stars do not darken, nor the clouds return after rain, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the blind shall cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. And the doors shall be shut in the streets. When the sound of the grinding is low, he shall rise up at the voice of a bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home. You can live years unhappily, and now you got to go to your long home. Life been destroyed. I've had a lot of my friends see. I've watched it happen to them. We're young teenagers, young people together, and just watched their lives be destroyed. Some of them fell in love, or called themselves fall in love with some girl or some boy. And they got them home, and realized they had, like the little nursery rhyme, they had the tiger by the toe, the tiger by the tail. And couldn't let him go. One young woman I knew, she should have excelled in school. Died tragically. Messing around with some gangster-like fella, and he beat her up so bad till her brains were coming out of her ears. That's how they found her. And I don't tell you that to make you sick. I'm telling you this to let you know that the devil's not your friend. Many of my friends have gone to prison. And some of the young women that I knew, some have been married several times over. Looked like they had bright futures, Sister Smite. Looked like I was really a bad guy, I was really a naughty one. And some of them said they were so smart, but they stayed on the wrong path. In school, yeah, they could resist. Then they kept going on, and that resistance was broken down by the devil until pretty soon he had them underwater. Can't breathe. They tried to let him get a little breath and put him back down under. So one of these days when he pushes him down, he's going to hold him down. No coming up. As we sing.
can never enter there because God says so. I go away, you shall die in your sin, where I am. You cannot come. Something to consider. We look at sin so lightly here in this life, but I'm realizing it's going to be a great obstruction to our entering into heaven. Sometimes we just neglect it and think it's so normal and so natural that we just go ahead and lie when we feel like it, steal, and neglect God, neglect His way, neglect the people, and forget about your soul. And because it's normal, it's natural. Well, God said He lighteneth every man come into the world, and let us know that sin will never enter there. Great is the gate, narrow is the way. Thank God, and few will be that find it. Broad is the gate, and wide is the way that leads to destruction. Many there be that go in thereat, just drifting. Many shall seek to enter in, shall not be able, because they can't lay down the sinner. Stop the sinner. Refuse to stop the sinner. As though we have an inherent right and a privilege to sin. That's our business. That's some sin. Others may say, well, that's a very strong indictment on me this morning, and I believe I'm in trouble. If those things that you said are so, then I'm in trouble. But if I had 2 lives to live, I'd give one to Jesus, and I'd keep the one for myself. And I'd live for the Lord. My last life, I'd live for the Lord. No, that's just foolish. Now, if you had 2 lives to live, you live both in sin with the mind you have now. It takes some effort to break loose. You don't plan to get saved today, and you don't plan to get saved tomorrow, just talking about it. Chances are that you'll just wind up in hell. That's why the Bible said, few to be defined, a straight and narrow way. You don't want to think about it. That's like you were saying this morning. People don't want to consider it. Jesus said, I didn't come in the world to condemn you. I come to the world to give you life. I didn't come to condemn you. He said, you're condemned already. That's why I come down. God so loved the world, He gave His only begotten Son. Whosoever believes in Him will not be condemned. Not perish, but have everlasting life. He said, but people come in the world and say, you people just kind of condemn me. That man preached that message this morning. He's talking about me. Just trying to make you feel bad, trying to condemn me. I hate people condemning me. Jesus, they thought that was about Jesus, and they hung Him on the cross. They hung Him on the cross because of who He was and what He was doing. He came into the world to warn the world that they're already condemned. For the Father sent Him. And He come in the world and He come preaching the gospel and the way out, and made a way out, and the people hung Him on the cross. Away from that, please. Give us Barabbas. He's more our style. We like what He's doing better. He's a rebellious murderer. They said, give us Barabbas and away with this Christ. Crucify Him. And they hung Him up because He made Him uncomfortable. He come into the world. He might have life, but He made Him uncomfortable. And the world hung Him up. That's the way they thought of Him. But they didn't good hanging Him up because the Father already said that they were condemned. They didn't need to hang Him but right about today. Don't do no good because the Word of God roll on. Amen. It rolls on right through the judgment. The Word of God be over and glory. And there's nothing that sinful man can do about it except be weighed by it and condemned to the straight down. The Word was preached this morning. Speaking of preferences, what is your preference? You will show your preference and express it loudly by how you respond to the altar call. Some say, well, I'll just go on, I'll get saved later. You don't know nothing about that. Today is the day of salvation. Now is the accepted time. If you don't get saved today, there's no telling what will happen to you later. You may get saved later. Chances are that you just go right on because you love what you're doing. This is not the first time that you've been aware that the life you live in is not satisfactory in the eyes of God. It's not the first time. You've run into truth before. There's a good chance that maybe you won't come to church anymore if you're not saved. And some of you are not living right, they're quite close to the outside. You kind of feel bad, sitting under the message. Just the same, God is just. He's a just God, and at the judgment, He will have His word there, and your life, your record. And whatever you might think about it, He's going to judge the righteous judgment. Those that have done good shall receive the resurrection of life everlasting, and those that have been otherwise shall be doomed, damned, and lost, according to the Word of God. All right, we'll sing another verse, and maybe the Spirit will talk with you, or maybe you'll submit. Maybe you'll say, yes, I do need to make another change. I know about it. I've been knowing about it. Yeah, He called me long before I heard. Maybe you'll hear Him today. And this perchance may be the beginning of days for you, if you're not saved. All right, sing another verse, and this may be the day that someone's life changes. If you hope to dwell at last, when your life on earth is past, and it's going to pass. If you want to hope, you have to act like you want one. No mansion is for sinners. You have to qualify for the mansion He went to prepare. Oh, sin. God angry with the wicked every day. He came in the world to put away sin. And you want to meet sin in heaven. Many have already converted. Many have already changed. Many have already started. Many have already set aside the sinful life. So don't think that it can't be done. It must be done. It must be done. We're about to close this service because it's a very significant service. You say, how can anything important happen in this little old town? Well, God loves us. Don't forget, He was born in Bethlehem, one of the small cities. Now He has spread His gospel in the big cities, the small cities. They got it in the countryside. You can be saved. Would anyone want to be saved today? You want to do anything about your record? You want to do anything about your past? Want to insure anything concerning your future? You going to sell out cheap? You going to sell out cheap? You going to throw your soul away cheap? The Bible says, through the words of the Lord, that there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now that's an awful situation when you're gnashing your teeth. You know, when you hammer your finger, you gnash your teeth. When you bump your ankle against the wall or against something that hurts you, gnash your teeth. When you throw away that raffle ticket, the winning ticket, you gnash your teeth. When you lose that lottery ticket that won the prize, you gnash your teeth. It's a symbol of great disappointment and awareness of what you have lost out on. And the Lord said, ye shall go away into everlasting darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yeah, you'll have some teeth to gnash. And you'll have a life that won't die. Gnashing of teeth. What about your future? What are we going to do about your future? Just wait, say, I'll just gnash my teeth. I'll just have to gnash them. That's right, and you keep right on. Well, you don't like it, afraid of a headache. You know you can't handle the punishment God is meting out. Don't be so brave. You know you're not that bold and boastful. You know you're not that strong. You're going to have a hard time if you can't enter in. When this life is past, what you going to do with eternity? You're not happy here. How in the world are you going to make it through hell? Three days with a toothache, that's about all you can handle. 3 days with a toothache, that's all you can handle. Off you go. You sure you can't get me in today? You call up this, can't you get me in today? I got to get this thing fixed. This thing's running me crazy. Just a toothache? And you plan on going to hell? As the Lord said, come, let us reason together. If you can't handle a toothache, what are you going to do with hell? So you go take your chances. There's no chance. The Bible said the wicked shall be turned into hell. And all the nations that forget God. Righteousness exalteth the nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Any people. To no good and do it at not is a reproach. We're going to close this service. You know we're bound to close it. When you came here, you felt you expected to go home. Your mind's on something else when you're on God's mind, when He sent His Son Jesus. All right. We'll leave it with you. But when the Lord asks you what your trouble was, you'll be speechless. That you shall be speechless. You won't have any idea what to say. Speechless. Because of this message, this meeting, if nothing further. No excuse, Lord. Depart from me. Go to the place prepared for the devil and his angels. Whose team you join. Whose team you join in rebellion in your life. If you have to prepare for heaven, you prepare for hell. Go. You'll see the reward that you have earned in your attitudes. You're going to close the service. But the Word was available to us long before we were born. We talk about BC, before Christ. They had our call to God way back. Way back. Isaiah cried loud, "Come, let us reason together." Long, long time ago. We have to handle it the best we can. Knowledge makes responsibility, and you gain knowledge this morning. All right, what's on the schedule for a second? Vision. All right. Those that are going to vision. There have been maybe requested to possibly young people who are going to get something maybe put together that they can be out of their repertoire. So we'll work that out. Maybe some time for that. Also this evening. We'd like to have the tables put back up there. Tables in the balcony and tables in the fellowship hall. We need to go back up into the loft. If you're in the habit of going to the lunchroom after the service, check yourself. See, when I'm down there. Nobody cooked anything or anyone. And then we might say, the chance you should be there with your own lunch. I understand that brothers and sisters done a thorough job of cleaning yesterday. Crumbs, no, packets and things like that. Don't put anything in the waste baskets down there. They're not through yet. It will be closed also next week at lunch. Many of the saints will do it this year, and they will be closed also next week. So between now and then, they will continue their thorough cleaning and straightening up the whole partially. Not only downstairs, upstairs too. Nobody's there responsible, so something they take care of. Restrooms, pulling out cabinets, getting in the corners, drawing out the old flour and sugar and everything, vacuuming and just cleaning. So don't go there and mess it up. A little kitchen here in this building also should be careful. It's being cleaned also. You don't want your food, don't store it in the refrigerator for 2 weeks and have it stinking. Please. If you get it, then we have problems. Sorry, suits, sterile. Yeah, all right. Well, we appreciate those that are spending their time trying to catch things up after so long. Sister Melanie. Don't need much time. You gonna be here this afternoon? Just the later part then. Maybe the latter part or the first part then. Okay, the vision choir will be here at 5. Our brother Payne. Brother Charles, yes. Robert going? All right. Anything else that you looked into, Sister Catherine? Oh, don't worry about that. No, that wasn't out of order. No, don't worry about that. We didn't get enough prayer. Don't worry about that. Yes, sir. Sound like Catherine Louise. Go ahead and pray. God. Every time I hear it still, I'll pray. One thing we'll need to apologize for prayer. Need more. Need more. All right, what else was it? Somebody else is going to say something? We take care of all those announcements and prayers. Lord willing, then we'll be back here except the singers appointed at 5 o'clock. The rest will be here, Lord willing, at 6 o'clock this evening. And, let's get some praying done before we get back this evening. Let's not take it lightly. We got principalities and powers to deal with. And the best way to do it is through prayer. Ask God to intercede for us. Sister Beard? All right. That's right. This is responsible to clean that part of the building back there, the kitchen and the nursery. See that they're looking pretty good. All things. Nothing further than this. Now, there's another young man here at the altar. So those that have to go quietly. Okay? We're going to have a little dismissal. Sit down if you don't need to leave. Do not create any disturbance at all. Front lobby or anywhere else. All right. Sister Dorothy, yeah. Dismiss us, please. We can go quietly, otherwise we see. So the young man gets through.
I got saved today, and I would like if y'all would just pray for me and help me not to follow my friends and stuff. Pray for my brother and sister that did to save my mom too.
Glory to God. That make 2, huh? Thank God for 2. All right. There's 3 more. Praise the Lord. Amen. A new life. A new life. Oh, yes. My God. All right. There's room at the cross yet. Thank God there were 1,000 brought in, be brought in as 1,000,000 yet in sin. Yet the blessed Savior died for all. All right, we have been dismissed. Go and in your prayers for the evening service, remember this young man. What's his name anyway? Khalid? All right.